I never imagined hearing those words from her. Not in our home. Not in our bed. Not from the woman I had promised forever to. I'm with someone else tonight. Don't wait for me. Emma said it casually, as if commenting on the weather outside, as if it meant nothing. My chest tightened, my stomach sank, and for a brief moment, the world seemed completely upside down. My name is Daniel. I'm 38, and I've been married to Emma for 11 years. 11 years of marriage, 15 years of knowing her, loving her, trusting her. And just like that, in a single sentence, everything I believed to be unshakable felt like it had collapsed beneath me. We weren't perfect, never had been. Life had its struggles, bills, work stress, family duties. But I thought we had always been partners. We laughed together, traveled together, even argued at times, but always returned to each other. At least, I thought we did. I thought I knew her, or at least believed I did. I knew when she was upset, when she was exhausted, when she craved attention or space. I believed I could read her like an open book. But tonight I realized the truth. I didn't know her at all. It started earlier that evening. I came home from work, tired as usual on a Thursday. The house was silent. No music, no TV, nothing. I found her in the kitchen, chopping vegetables for dinner. She glanced up at me, smiled briefly, but her eyes were distant, cold, almost detached. I tried to make small talk, asked about her day, cracked a joke about the office printer breaking down, trying to lighten the tension creeping in. She smiled faintly again, but it didn't reach her eyes. Something was wrong. Something very wrong. Then she said it plainly. No hesitation. I'm with someone else tonight. Don't wait for me. I froze. My mind spun. My first reaction was disbelief, denial. Maybe I misheard her. I asked her to repeat it. She repeated the words exactly. That's when the chilling reality hit me. She had been planning this. She had been living this, at least in her mind, for a while, and I hadn't noticed. How had I missed the signs? The late nights at the office, the secret texting, the way she avoided closeness for months. All those moments I ignored, telling myself it was stress, fatigue, life. But it wasn't. It was her preparing to step away from us. For a long moment, I said nothing. I just stared, trying to digest the sentence that felt impossible. My heart weighed heavy. But it wasn't just the words. It was the betrayal, the indifference, the casual cruelty. I remembered all the nights I stayed awake worrying about her. The weekends I adjusted for her plans. All the sacrifices I quietly made, without complaint. And she planned to be with another man while I waited at home, unsuspecting, trusting a marriage she had already left. I wanted to scream, plead, beg, but I didn't. Not yet. I had learned over the years that shouting never helped, that anger only made things worse. I needed clarity. I needed control. And, in that moment, I realized I had a choice. I could crumble. Let this destroy me, let my dignity vanish in rage and tears. Or I could step back, breathe, and act with the quiet strength I knew I possessed. I inhaled slowly, feeling the tension in my shoulders, the tightness in my chest. I let the words fully sink in. Then I spoke calm but firm. You're serious? She nodded, looking me directly in the eyes, as if testing me, measuring my reaction. No shame. No hesitation, just absolute certainty. My shock slowly shifted into something heavier. Sorrow. The sorrow of realizing that the woman I loved no longer saw me as her partner, as her equal, as the man she once vowed to respect and trust. I tried to process it piece by piece, without anger or judgment, just observation. This wasn't a spur-of-the-moment fling. It was deliberate, premeditated, a decision she made. And I couldn't change it. Not with pleading, not with guilt, not with promises. She had chosen. And, in that choice, I had no place anymore. I walked to the living room, sat on the edge of the sofa, and allowed myself the first true wave of grief. But even in that grief, a quiet clarity emerged. This wasn't the end of me. This wasn't the end of my life. This was the moment I had to face reality. And the truth? She had stopped being my wife long before she uttered those words tonight. I stayed there, letting the silence settle. The weight pressed down, but instead of breaking me, it sharpened my focus. The path forward wasn't about winning her back. It wasn't about arguing, pleading, or proving my pain. It was about stepping into my own strength, reclaiming my life, refusing to be diminished by someone else's choices. Finally, I spoke, not to her, not in anger, but to myself. I see you now. I see the truth. And I'm done waiting. I didn't yell. I didn't slam doors. I simply stood, feeling steadiness return to my legs. Clarity settled in my mind. Emma looked at me, her face unreadable, perhaps expecting drama, confrontation, or tears. She got none of that. I simply said quietly, "I'm leaving for the night. I'll return when I'm ready to come home." No anger, no pleading, no begging, just truth. I grabbed my jacket from the coat rack, my keys from the counter, and stepped out into the crisp night air. Streetlights cast long shadows across the pavement, but I barely noticed. My mind was alert, analyzing, planning, yet calm. For the first time in weeks, maybe months, I felt a flicker of something I hadn't in a long time. Control. I wasn't at the mercy of someone else's choices anymore. I wasn't trapped by expectations, guilt, or a marriage that existed only in name. I was free to think, to breathe, to act. I drove without direction at first, just needing space. The hum of the engine, the faint radio playing classic rock, even the crisp night air. Everything felt sharper, more alive. I kept reflecting on the years we had shared, the laughter, the trips, the quiet nights we spent together. I had loved her once, deeply, but love without respect, love without reciprocity, wasn't love. It was a slow erosion of self, a quiet death of dignity. And I wasn't willing to die quietly in that marriage. By the time I parked outside my friend's apartment, my mind was already forming the next steps. Not in anger, not in revenge, but in strategy. If she wanted to fill her life with careless, selfish choices, those were the consequences she would face. I had no intention of being collateral damage. Every step I had taken tonight had been deliberate, controlled, calm. The kind of strength that doesn't shout but commands presence. Sitting on the couch, sipping lukewarm coffee my friend had made, I reflected on everything that had happened. The pain I felt wasn't just betrayal, it was recognition of my own blindness. I had overlooked subtle signs, rationalized her distance, excused actions that now, in hindsight, clearly showed she no longer valued our bond. And yet, I couldn't blame myself completely. I had loved fully, without reservation. That wasn't weakness, it was integrity. The next morning, I returned home briefly, not to confront, but to reclaim pieces of my life. I collected my belongings, organized the shared finances, and reinforced my boundaries. I would no longer be subject to whims, lies, or disrespect. Emma could live as she wished, but she could no longer drag me into her chaos. Every choice she made from now on, I would meet with calm logic, legal clarity, and unwavering self-respect. Over the following days, I maintained my composure. Friends called, offering support, sharing their own experiences. Their voices reminded me I wasn't alone in facing betrayal, in witnessing the cold indifference of someone once trusted. Each story reinforced one truth. I had the right to stand firm, protect my dignity, and demand the respect I deserved. Emma tried to reach me that weekend. Texts, a brief call. She expected tears, panic, emotion. She got none. I responded calmly, reminding her that her choices were hers alone, and I would not be drawn into chaos or confrontation. I didn't need to shame her. I didn't need to prove anything. She had shown her hand. I simply adjusted mine accordingly. By week's end, a strange sense of peace had settled over me. Not happiness, not yet, but clarity, a quiet strength born from acceptance. I understood that love, when it turns into neglect and indifference, must be abandoned for the sake of self-preservation. I had loved, given, endured, and in that endurance, preserved the man I was meant to remain. That night, I slept alone in my bed with no weight pressing on my chest. The air felt lighter, the world sharper, and in that clarity, I realized something essential. Love is precious, but dignity is priceless. I would not bargain it, beg for it, or allow it to be diminished. Emma had chosen her path. I had chosen mine. I didn't shout, cry, or plead. I simply moved forward. And for the first time in a long while, the steps I took felt like my own. Strong, deliberate, unbroken.